Hello, welcome to day 2 of the Stress Less 5-day free challenge. Today I'm really excited about, but I want to start it off with some statistics because I don't think we are aware of exactly the implications in our society of depression, especially among women. Now, I do know there's a couple of guys in this group, but these statistics, while these are the ones that I have, there's no doubt probably similarities in the male area. Sorry, mental blank then. So here are the statistics. The most commonly prescribed medication for Australian women is antidepressants. And that 80% of younger women, 14% of middle-aged women, and 18% of older women take antidepressants. Now, the thing is, this isn't even taking into consideration those people who refuse to take medication but still have those symptoms of depression. So it's quite large. And one of the biggest contributors to depression is, a lot of the time we have a lot going on. We get really overwhelmed. We don't know what to do. And so by being able to look at our stress and learning to manage our stress, what will happen is we'll be able to at least feel a little bit more in charge. Yesterday I talked about the psychology of stress, the physiology of stress, and gave you like a breathing worksheet. But if you didn't get that breathing worksheet, comment breath below and we will definitely get it to you. It's just a simple process of learning how to breathe correctly. The thing with recognizing stress is it is so prevalent in today that we tend to think that we've got to cope with it and we've got to be able to live with stress. Well, we don't have to live with stress. There's a couple of sides to this. So yes, we live in modern day society where, depression and anxiety and, lots of other things are prevalent in our society. But each thing that we do contributes to those aspects. A lot of the times is that we live such a hectic life that we really struggle to stay in charge. It's almost like we have little control over the busyness of our lives, and we actually do. We may not have control of what goes on outside of us, but we 100% have control of what's going on inside of us. And that comes down to lots of different things. See, things that can contribute to our stress is our inability to say no. Things that can contribute to our stress is that we take on way too much, that we have this superwoman, superman syndrome that we just got to get shit done. The other thing is when we don't value ourselves enough to pause and we keep piling on the stress. So we want to be able to look at how do you operate in your own world when it comes to stress. Because when prolonged stress starts to take effect and it starts to take a toll on your mental and your physical health, that's when most people will start to seek help. But that's the thing. What they then do is they give you medication. But if you backtrack just a little bit and had a little bit more awareness, you'll actually be able to stop it from getting to that place. Now, antidepressants are the only treatment used for stress generally. Now, some doctors are opening up their minds to more open-minded things that help, like meditation, yoga, aromatherapy, all of these sorts of things. But what we can understand is that with stress, the issues that are causing stress in our lives, we want to be able to unpack them, look at them, and work out which ones are contributing and which ones we have to sort of find a way to handle better and which ones can we actually let go of. So one of the things is also being able to recognize that the things that we can let go of in stress are often the things that we can change how we think, what we feel. How we show up when we're stressed is an indication of what's going on in our internal world. Now, what I mean by that is think about it. Think about the last time you were super stressed. It might have been when you were under the pump. It might have been when you just had so much going on. Maybe you were trying to wrap up work before you went on holidays. Maybe you're trying to pack up a house, or, there's lots of things that we're doing that can create stress in our lives. When was the last time you felt really stressed? How did you show up? What's some of your behavior? How do you treat your family? How do you treat your friends? How do you feel on the inside? What are some of the actions that you take? Do you maybe drink a bit more? Do you maybe binge on Netflix to try and zone out for a little bit? Do you hit the gym more? Do you eat? Because that's one that a lot of people do. Do you lash out? Are you have a short fuse? Do you get highly emotional? Do you struggle to sleep? So these are all the things that we want to look at in our own personal world of indicators of, hey, listen, we're pretty stressed right now. You'll have to excuse my glasses. My other glasses are in getting new lenses, and my dog sat on these. So they're having to just make do for now, but I'm looking at them in the view and it's like they're going crooked. So I do apologize for that. So we want to be aware by developing an awareness of what your triggers are, what situations and events and things in your environment are creating stress or impacting on you to trigger stress. How does that show up? How do you behave in it? And looking at how do we eliminate those stresses? How do we eliminate the stress triggers? Now, some stress triggers or stresses, once we realize they're actually stressing us, can be eliminated, because too often than not, we actually stress over things we don't need to stress over. We worry about the small stuff. We hold on to the small stuff. We react to the small stuff. And it's about letting the small stuff go. It's about getting into the habit of asking yourself, does it really matter? In the big scheme of things, does the milk being spilt on the floor by your 5-year-old, does it really matter? Is it an inconvenience to clear up? Yes, it is. But it's about letting it, you know what, it doesn't matter. If there's something you can't do anything about, so maybe, there's a hole being put in your wall by a piece of furniture or a child or a toy or something. Well, it's done. Stressing over it and getting upset over it and lashing out about it actually doesn't serve anyone or anything. So you want to be able to rein it back and go, okay, you know what? I just got to work out what I can do about it and start taking those actions. One of the biggest things with stress is what we say to ourselves. What is the language we're using? What is the internal dialogue we're having? Are we coming from a place of I can't do this, I can't cope with this, this is so unfair, this is, I don't know, or coming from a place of I don't know what to do, so we just don't do anything? Are we so consumed in our feelings we can't make clear decisions? Because these are all indicators of stress that are playing out in your world. And when we're worrying about the little things, we're just wasting so much energy. Sure, I get it. Sometimes there's things that happen and, we worry about how we're going to pay that bill, or, the hole's in the wall, but now how do I fix it? Or how do I get the money to fix it? That can cause stress. But it's what level of stress do you want to give it? Because stress is how you're feeling on the inside. It's an internal thing. It's how you cope. It's what you say to yourself about it. So when you can look at what's going on in your life and go, okay, what are some of the things, how can I eliminate some of these stresses? How can I eliminate some of the triggers? There's a couple of ways that we can do this. So first of all, It's working out what's avoidable and unavoidable. And your bonus today is a worksheet that's going to help you do that. So by being able to go, okay, what's avoidable? What are some of the stresses I can actually avoid? So maybe instead of running late for work, you just make sure you get up that 20 minutes earlier. Set the alarm a little bit earlier. That way you're not stressing because you're under the pump to get to work. Or maybe it's, racing around in the morning trying to get the kids out the door, and that brings up stress. Then it's like, what? Well, what if I made the lunches the day night before? What if I delegated some more tasks to my kids so they could get, learn a bit more responsibility, but then it allows me to not have so much going on. Often we take on too much. Often we make it all about ourselves. And when we do that, our stress levels shoot up. So being able to unpack all of these little things, what are some of these little avoidable things we can look at and remove, so then all we have to face is the ones that we can't avoid. And they're the ones that we can focus on. But if we're not putting our energy over on the avoidable ones, we've actually got more energy and focus to be able to deal with the ones that we actually have to deal with. I keep saying stress is an internal thing because it does come to the words that you're using in your language, the conversations that you're having in your head. And I'm going to use money as an example because money is such a big thing in people's lives. When we're stressing over money, we often come from a place of lack. So it's like, I can't afford this. I can't do this. I can't. Now, if we go on to the other side of that, and that language of I can't creates more of I can't. If you've got lots of debt, I'm not saying ignore it, because you do have to do something about it, but stressing over it and focusing on the debt actually doesn't get you out of debt. What it does is it creates more debt, because what you focus on is where your energy flows and your attention goes. And wherever your attention is, that's what you're kind of bringing up in your world. So when you're saying, I can't cope with this, I can't do this, I can't, what you're actually doing to your brain and your thoughts is you're shutting it down. You're not giving it an opportunity to come up with some possibilities of some things you may or may be able to do. So by going, I can't do this or I can't do that, you're locking it away. You're actually doing yourself a disservice. We will always find an answer. Now, we may not like the answer, but we will always find it. So it's about looking at, okay, what can I do in, so if I got a debt and I don't know how I'm going to pay it, but let's say that debt is not due for a month. One of the questions that is a really good question to ask, which helps to kind of stop us stressing over things, is there anything I can do about it right now? The answers would be no. So if I can't do anything about it right now, is it safe to say that I can actually put it to the side for the moment? Yes. Doesn't mean you're going to ignore it. It just means you're not going to stress over it in this moment. When we go, I can't afford this, what we want to be saying is, how can I afford this? What could I do to get that money? How can I bring in more money? These are just examples. But by changing our dialogue, we will ultimately help reduce that stress. Looking at the things that are avoidable and looking at the things that are unavoidable will also get us clearer on what our stresses are. Because what stresses me may not stress you. What stresses you may not stress your partner, your kids. What stresses them may not stress you. So stress is a very unique and individual viewpoint and a reaction to life. Now, the only reason why we stress is because we're under the pump. We're in a place of overwhelm. And our body is doing what it's doing because it's in this fearful place. Remembering that the fight or flight response gets kicked in before the brain has a chance to ascertain whether you're in danger or not. So being able to go, okay, what can I do? Helps just bring that down. Okay, what are the things that bring stress in my life and which ones can I avoid? I can get up 20 minutes earlier and that's going to stop the mad rush to get out the door in the morning. Maybe it's the traffic. So maybe it's, you know what, if I leave an hour before and maybe have breakfast or maybe go for a walk or do something, then I'm not going to be stressed trying to get to work because I've actually preempted it. Mm-hmm. So being able to go, okay, what are my triggers? What are my stresses? So the bonus, as I said, is going to be a worksheet of avoidable and unavoidable stress. So it's about taking note of the things that bring you stress. What are some of the things that kind of elevate you in your feelings and your emotions or when you're feeling under the pump? Recognizing also how you behave when you're stressed. Like I said, do you lash out? Do you get really emotional? Do you not sleep? For me, I don't sleep. I usually get up in the middle of the night, and I know it sounds a bit odd, but one of the things I like to do that helps reduce my stress is I bake. So my kids love it because they wake up to muffins and all these things, but that's what I do. So I recognize very early, if I'm having trouble sleeping, the first thing that I go and do is I look at, okay, what am I stressing about? What are the things going on in my life that I feel like I'm under the pump with? And I start to pull them out and I start to break them down. The other thing is we want to be aware of the symptoms of stress. So what is it that you do, not just in an emotional or thought way, but also how does your body feel? We are so used to in society having really tense muscles that we think it's normal. But when we can recognize that those tense muscles are actually an indicator of stress, that we're holding tension in our bodies, then we can start to de-stress or bring that stress down before you get up here. Some of the ways to do that is, well, for me, I know that I hold stress in my shoulders, but maybe you get headaches, which tells me that's tension that you're holding in your neck. Maybe you clench your jaw. Maybe you clench your jaw. Maybe you grind your teeth, because that's the other thing that people will do in their sleep is they'll grind their teeth. Do you find that you're clenching your fists? Do you kind of have this overall sense of agitation in your body? These are all signs that we want to be able to pay attention to, because the more that we're paying attention to what's going on in our body tells us what is happening. Our body is the plasticine of our emotions, but most of the time we ignore it until we get hit by a big truck. Then we'll start paying attention. So you want to be looking at, okay, writing out, what are the stresses? What things bring me stress on a daily basis? Write them out. And as you're writing them out, which ones can be avoidable? Because some of these ones that you look at, you can go, actually, you know what? I don't need to stress over that. Some of them can be eliminated pretty much straight away. You know, some of these might be, an example of one of those might be you overcommit. So then you delegate a couple of tasks. All of a sudden, that's then off your plate. Sometimes we're stressing over things that are on our plate that we actually don't have to stress over in that moment. So you know what? I actually don't need to worry about that. I can go put that over here. So our plate then looks a little bit less. It doesn't mean you're not going to get to it, like I've said before, but you don't have to be focusing on it right now. Part of stress management is becoming aware of the symptoms of stress, and by being that and doing that, you record it. So writing it down. So I strongly recommend a stress journal. Now, what we do in that is we just record the patterns that emerge while we're evaluating what's going on in our life, revealing the main stresses. So most common symptoms of stress is that fight or flight reaction. But once you've learned to recognize the difference between what it feels like to be stressed and what it feels like to be relaxed, sorry, just knocked the table. How do we do that? As I said, a lot of us hold tension in our bodies. A lot of us are walking around already clenched. So I'm going to show you a quick technique that you can do to start learning and letting your brain notice the difference between tension and relaxation. So I want you to clench your fist really, really tight, almost so tight that it's starting to vibrate, and then let it go. And then tense it up again, but this time maybe tense up your arm, maybe tense your whole entire arm, and let it go. You feel the difference? I want you to do that with all parts of your body. Clenching your jaw, squeeze your teeth together, relax them. Pull all the muscles tight in your neck, relax them. Tense up your shoulders, relax them. By learning how to tense your body and relax it, you're going to train your brain to recognize the difference between a tense muscle and a relaxed muscle. The more that you do this, the easier it's going to be for you to go from the fight or flight into homeostasis pretty quickly. So now that we kind of know that we've got to look at avoidable and unavoidable, be able to see that, what tension and relaxation feels like in our bodies. So it's really important that you're constantly practicing that. Then we want to go into what we call the instant calming sequence. Now what this is, it's a 6-step process that you do that will help you bring this down. Step 1 is practice the uninterrupted breathing. Now, yesterday you were given a bonus of how to breathe, taking 10 slow, deep breaths. That's practicing uninterrupted breathing. So when you're stressing, the first thing to do is breathe. Immediately focus on your breath, and then you continue to breathe smoothly, deeply, and evenly. You take control of your breath. Now, the reason we do this, we can go weeks without food, we can go days without water, but we literally can only go minutes without air. So when we put our attention on our breath, we are not thinking about the past, we are not worrying about the future, we are here in this moment. So being able to breathe, feeling that air, paying attention to that breath, making sure you're making it a deep breath, pacing it evenly in and out, and concentrating on that, you're going to start to calm down. Okay? Step 2, which seems a little bit odd, but put on a positive face, smile, a grin that you can feel in the corners of your eyes, right? Because happiness is triggered by smiling. So this is shifting your emotional state from panic and scared and stressed and overwhelmed to, okay, I've just breathed. Now I'm going to smile. And smiling can contribute to feelings of happiness, and that helps in a stressful situation. It can actually help you feel calm. Now, try it. Try right now. Smile a really big, broad grin now. Got to admit, you do feel a little bit better, huh? So it does shift a little bit of how you feel. Step 3, balance your posture. Often when people are under stress, they look really hunched over because it's literally like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. Now, one of the things that I do with MACE, which is what I use to help people, is when we shift the negativity and the feeling, I can see someone's posture change straight away. But we can do that ourselves by balancing it out, recognizing when we're doing this. Okay? So this is where, you know, that weight of the world is on your shoulders. If you're noticing that, then chances are you're tensing up here. So by shoulders back, shoulder blades together, wiggling your body, you're going to start to feel that relaxation. Maintaining good posture works like smiling, right? Physical balance contributes to emotional balance. So keeping your head held high, chin up, chest out. Yes, girls, stick them out. And your pelvis and your hips level. Thinking of your spine from here to the tail end of your spine as a straight line. Pull it up. Move it out. You might feel like your spine goes click, click, click as you're strengthening and moving it around a bit more. You just like imagine there's a sky hook lifting your body from the point at the center here. And it says lifting you up. Shoulders back, shoulders down. Put a big smile on your face. Can you feel the difference already? Just with those couple of things. Adding the breathing in that, and you'll be starting to feel like your stress is coming down. Another step that you can do is bathe in a wave of relaxation. Now, this can be a little bit challenging if you don't know what relaxation feels like. But imagining you're standing under a waterfall that's washing away all of your tension is a really good way of doing it. So if you've ever stood under a waterfall, it feels amazing. It just, you know, and you just imagine that your tension is running away, is just being washed out. Now, I like to give tension a colour, and I imagine that colour draining out of me. That's another really good way of visualising and imagining that stress leaving the body. Remembering that with the practice of the muscle tensing and relaxing, which I want you to practice, you're going to know the difference between when your muscles are tense and when they're relaxed. So when you're picturing yourself under a waterfall with your eyes closed, and you can feel like, and give, like I said, give the tension a color, picture it in your body, and then relax it. And as it relaxes, you can feel that waterfall washing it away. And then from there, we've got step 5, which is acknowledging your reality. Sometimes we have to face our cause of stress head on. So now that we know what's avoidable and we now know what's unavoidable, you want to be looking at the unavoidable ones and you want to go, right, what can I do about this? Because when you're trying to deny it or wish that it wasn't there or it hadn't happened, you have your attention on it. So when we're trying to resist something, when we're trying to avoid something, we are giving it some attention, which means that that has some of your attention before you do anything else. You've already lost some of your attention. Let's say you've got 5 or 6 things going on and you've given them, say, 10 points each, but you're only given 100 points of attention. That only leaves you 40 or 50 points left to do whatever else, which will actually decrease your efficiency. This is why highly stressed people are told, do not make life-changing decisions. Because when you're in a highly emotional state, the decisions you'll make will never be good ones. So you want to be able to recognize, calming it down, bringing it down, and then facing that reality, facing it head on. You know, think things like, this is real, I can handle this, I'm finding the best way to cope right now. Remembering what I was saying, our language also contributes to how we feel. I can't do this. This is so overwhelming. I can't afford this. Oh my God, my life is falling apart right now. Bring it back. It's okay. I'm going to be okay. What can I do about it right now? If the answer is nothing, put it to the side. Okay, so acknowledging your reality is another step, step 5. Step 6 is reassert control. So instead of fretting about how the stressor has robbed you of control, focus on what you can control and take appropriate action. So what is in your control right now, right this moment? Now, there are 3 things that are always in your control. 100%. How you think, how you feel, how you behave. That's it. You are 100% control of that. Anything outside of you, anything external from you, you're not in control of. So what are you in control of right this moment? What are you in charge of? You know what? I can try and do steps 1 to 5 and start to try and calm down a bit. Focus on what is in your control and what you can take appropriate action for. So remember what I said, if there's nothing you can do about it right now, let it go, put it to the side. If there's something that you can do about it, that's awesome. Then start taking some action. Because the more that you sit there and do nothing, the more attention you're going to give it, the bigger it's going to get, and the more stressed you're going to feel. Helping to think clear-headed and be honest with your thoughts. So pay attention. What are you thinking? What are you saying to yourself? You want to shift them and really make sure that they're clear thoughts, not distorted ones. So they're the 6 steps that you can do instantly to start calming yourself down when you're feeling super stressed. But remembering that stress is an internal thing. It's coming from your internal dialogue. It's coming from your belief systems. It's coming from your life experiences. Often we pattern how we respond to stress based on how our parents responded to stress. We will often follow the same pattern. So being able to look at how do I react, and remembering also too, when we're reacting, we're not in charge, right? Reactions are irrational, they're emotional, and they never ever end well. We want to be able to respond, but in order to respond, we need to get rid of those things in us that are causing us to react. Now, we can do it very quickly or we can do it in a process. But either way, it's really important that you recognize when you're reacting and when you're responding, which is why getting clear on what kind of personality do you show up in when you're stressed? How do you behave? What do you say? What do you do? What do you think? These are all the things you want to look at. When you're feeling stress, start to implement the instant calming sequence. Those 6 steps. It's going to instantly start to bring you down. Breathing is the key, because the connection between breathing and the mind and your body, right, is very important. Deep breathing benefits your health, your spirituality, your mental well-being. Really, deep breathing increases your vitality and promotes relaxation. So being aware of how am I breathing. So really practice the breath. That is key. Practice how to recognize tension in your body. Tensing your muscles, relaxing them. Tensing them, relaxing them. Start to train your brain to recognize the difference. When you start to feel yourself tensing up, don't wait till you're in a place where you're completely overwhelmed, the tension's now affecting you, or when you've tried to build on top of those stresses to cope with more stress, only to make yourself really sick. We want to be in charge. Our body is the indicator. Pay attention. So you're going to get a bonus. Actually, I'm going to give you a couple of bonuses. So if you're watching the replay, please comment replay below if you've watched this live, awesome. The bonuses that you're going to get is you are going to get the avoidable and unavoidable stressing, how to pay attention to what it feels like in your body, what does the stress feel like, and take note of that. You're going to do that every day for the rest of the week, because that's just going to help you bring awareness to what's actually going on. And I'm going to give you one more bonus. It's called my worry pad. So this is a way of how to kick worry to the curb, because worry also is a symptom of stress. When we can break down our worries, then you can unpack all of that. So I'm going to pop the worry video in the group. That'll probably come in tonight. You'll receive through the email. You'll also receive how to stop worrying. There's a 4-step process to that. If you have any questions, comment below. If you would like if you would like the worry, let me know. We will send that through to you. You're going to get the avoidable and unavoidable, and hopefully you're practicing that deep breathing. And what we can do is, if you would like a script on how to do the muscle technique, then comment muscle below and we will get that to you. But if you think you kind of have an idea of how to do it, that's awesome. But I do have a step-by-step process that you can follow to help you do that. So if you want the muscle, comment muscle. If you're watching the replay, comment replay. If you haven't received the breath work, comment breathe below. And I hope this was very beneficial for you. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.